It is only Tuesday and there's a lot going on. I think the biggest story, I made this a lead story for the newsletter today, is that 60% of federal judges apparently are using artificial intelligence in their work. That's surprising, first of all. The story is from the Detroit News. That's the original source with 20,000 ads. Reasons why I love using AI for research is I can just ask questions and I get the answers, and I don't have to sort through pages of ads just screaming for me to look at them. I'm doing my own preparation, said Rodriguez, who has served for over 20 years. I'm not strictly relying on an AI tool. It's just an extra set of eyes. If you're using it as a secondary tool to check work that you've already done, that's totally fine. If you're using it as a primary tool where you're having it do the work first and then you're checking it over, if it's for something vital, you're not going to know if the initial research was correct or not. Not initially. You'll have to, it's almost like doing the research twice, which I doubt anyone is doing. Courts are pursuing partnerships with legal vendors, developing AI tools for judicial work. This was actually in the newsletter last week as the lead story. I talked about how Harvey is worth $11 billion now. Harvey was developed by two students in law school in their freshman year. One of them was actually a researcher for Google DeepMind, so he definitely did know how to train AI systems. Google DeepMind is the part of Google that developed AlphaFold, which helped Demi Hassabis win the Nobel Prize. It also is responsible for AlphaGo. That's the AI system that defeated the world champions in Go, and they're worth $11 billion now, so good for them. There's another thing you need to be mindful of if you're using AI for any kind of legal search, any kind of legal questions, anything like that. So this is something people don't think about. Usually they only consider whether it's going to be right or wrong. The other thing that this man pointed out, and Mike Katz, he said the epidemic of vibe lawyering is going to cause some problems. A friend recently typed the details of an employment dispute, including things he did in violation of his non-compete, into ChatGPT. So right there, you can probably see the issues. If he's listing out his crimes or the things he did wrong, that is going to be legal evidence. That is something that Discovery can find if and when they ask for records from ChatGPT. And as you may or may not know, ChatGPT has to legally keep every single record, every single thing you write inside of it. A federal judge ruled during the New York Times case that they have to keep all records, even if you're using incognito mode. They still have to keep all records. It's not going to be visible to you, but they have to keep a copy. He did not talk to a lawyer first. He created a discoverable record of his own liability that lives on a third party's servers. He is very much not the only one. I wrote about why this is a real problem and what a federal court just confirmed about it. Vibe lawyering, like vibe coding, is probably not great for serious endeavors where your life might be at risk. My words, not his. Vibe lawyering, type your facts on your darkest secrets into AI, get something that reads like legal analysis, and move forward as if you consulted counsel. I would go to DuckDuckGo. So DuckDuckGo is a private version of Google. I think they're based on Bing for their searches, so it's not going to be as good, but it's supposedly private or private-ish, more private than most of the other ones. It's not in the Ask AI section here. It's actually in the chat section. Duck AI, there it is. Is the order from the federal judge still in effect where ChatGPT still has to keep records of every single chat that a person has, even if they are in incognito mode? These are the different models you can use. GPT-5 is ChatGPT. This is their open source version that they open sourced maybe 5 months ago. Llama 4 Scout is the open source version that Meta released. This is Claude. Mistral is an not fully open source, but mostly open source French company. ChatGPT again, Claude. So to get these, you need to be on the subscription plan, and to use these is free. I'm not logged into an account here either, so once I close this out, there's no record of this being a conversation. And here it is searching the web for me. I would treat most of the AI software companies that you use in the same way, because you never know. It might be gone from your chats, but you don't know if it's still on their servers or not. But for ChatGPT, we know for sure, due to a federal judge's court order with the New York Times lawsuit, that they have to hold on to everything. So if I was asking a legal question, if I had no other recourse, or I was just curious and it wasn't too important, I would go on DuckDuckGo.ai. The man who created Signal, Moxie Marlin Spike, also created this. This is not going to be the same kind of full-on usage where you can connect it to all your apps and it can do all these different workflows for you. This is supposed to be a private AI that you can have conversations with and speak privately because the whole thing is encrypted. I have been trying this out. I haven't been using it too heavily yet because I've been more into the workflow aspects. Completely open source so that it can be audited. If you don't know Signal Messenger is the privacy-focused app that you should definitely start using if you're not, because it's the only one that's not really spying on you. There's no ads, no trackers. They're very well known. They've been around for a while now. There's a lot of trust in them, and especially for this man, a lot of trust in the things that he builds. So I would trust this if I had wanted to have private conversations with the AI. Only you can read your chats, private even while processing. They're not doing anything with the data, and it is built to be audited. Another one, while we're on the subject, is Venice AI. Venice AI gives you access to a much wider range of models. They also have image creation as well. I think it is important to use some of these other AI systems for privacy. They're not going to be as full stacked where you can connect them to absolutely everything, because the point of them is to be a bit more private and to ask questions that you don't want having forever uploaded to someone else's computer and having these things know everything about you. The other thing about ChatGPT, as great as it is, and I still do recommend it for people to learn, is that they've moved to an ad model now. And I think that's something that probably most of the AI companies are going to move to. There's so much money in ads that they're not going to be able to resist it. Even though companies like Anthropic are saying, we're not doing ads, they very likely will in the future. Let's continue, because this is a great thread. Judge Rakoff ruled in United States versus Hepner that 31 documents from a defendant's Claude Convos were not protected under attorney-client privilege. The defendant used consumer Claude to research legal strategy on his own, then shared the outputs with his lawyer. This is something we talked about with the potential New York legislation, where they want to get rid of the ability for someone to ask legal or medical questions, and that's something I don't agree with. You should be allowed to ask those questions. It's software, so if you choose to ask questions, you have the right to do that if you're an adult. If you're going to a court and your life is on the line, what he's saying is that maybe you don't want to ask those questions to the AI, because that's going to leave, especially if you're listing out your guilt, there's no protection there the same way there would be if you ask those questions to your lawyer. There was no reasonable expectation of confidentiality. Privilege requires all three elements. The thing I have to repeat to family and friends: forwarding AI analysis to your lawyer does not make it privileged. A document that was not protected when you created it does not gain protection by landing in your lawyer's inbox. You cannot unring the bell. So that was the lead story of the day. If you do read the newsletter and you're short on time, you can always just skim down to the bottom where we stand section. I take the stories from the day and break that down into what AI can do and what AI still can't do. Any questions in the comments, let me know. And the whole point is just to help people try to understand a little bit more about this really fascinating, scary, fun technology. If you have any video ideas or requests, let me know. I'm happy to check it out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.